side, and the counter behind me. It's the most defensible position in the room. I turn my chair to the wall and sit sideways so I can watch Mike and the door at the same time. There are 9 students in the room. I map their locations in my head. I look at Mike waiting in line. The students have no idea that a trained assassin stands inches from them. A minute later, Mike comes over with 2 coffees and a plate of snacks. "Oatmeal raisin cookies," he says. "Did you bake them yourself?" "Didn't have time, but the sign says they're freshly baked. Do you think we can trust it?" "I don't think we can trust anything in this place." Mike grins and puts the plate of cookies in front of me. "Do you still like oatmeal raisin?" he asks. Those were my favorite cookies when I was a kid. Mike obviously remembers, and he wants me to know it. Is he trying to bond with me, or is it a test? "I don't like or dislike anything," I say. Preference creates patterns, and patterns create vulnerability. "We trained you well," Mike says. "But don't you enjoy a little something every now and again? Secret pleasures? We all have them." "Do you have them?" He raises his eyebrows. "I plead the 5th, he says. I sip from my coffee, and I wait. Mike brought me here, so it's wise to let him speak first. Mike pulls out a seat, its metal legs scraping against the floor. He glances from side to side, making sure we can't be overheard. "Your friend," he says. "The one who disappeared from your hotel room after the last mission. Howard. Is that his name?" Howard was working with me in New Hampshire. He risked his life to break into an armed camp and free me. Then he stuck around to search for clues about my real father. "Do you know who has him?" I ask. "The program has him." I'd thought so, but now I have confirmation. "They have his laptops too," Mike says. "That's the bad news. The good news is they can't crack his computer encryptions, so they don't know what he was up to. Yet." "If they have him, why do they need his computers?" "That's the interesting part," he says. "He hasn't talked. I guess he's a lot tougher than he looks. Like a geek armadillo or something." I suppress a smile. "You're telling me they don't know who he is or what his connection to me is?" "That's right," Mike says. "So why don't you tell me what your connection is?" I study Mike's face, trying to determine how much he already knows and how much I can safely give away. I decide to stay as close to the real story as possible. "He was helping me look for my father." Mike shakes his head. "Your father is dead, Zach." "That's not what you told me in New York," I say. "What I told you?" "In Brooklyn, when you had me restrained in that room. You said my father might be alive." "No." I watch Mike's face, trying to detect a lie. "You were drugged," Mike says. "You heard what you wanted to hear. I'm afraid this has become some sort of an obsession for you." I think about the moment in Brooklyn. I was waking up after being injected with a knockout drug. Could I have imagined the conversation with Mike? "How do you know he's dead?" I ask. "Do I really need to answer that?" Mike says. "You killed him." "It wasn't personal. It was my mission. You've done the same thing yourself, taken kids' parents away from them. How many times now?" "Quite a few." "It's what we're trained to do," he says. "It's not nice, but it's necessary." Mike sips at his coffee, peering over the rim of the mug. I imagine grabbing the mug out of his hands and shattering it in his face. He can sense the danger. He studies me, watching to see whether I'm going to make a move. "Your anger is misplaced," he says. "It's your father you should be angry at. He's the one who did this to you. Not me, not Mother or the program. We don't target innocent people." I've had the same thought myself numerous times. The program targets people who are guilty. My father did something to bring Mike and the program into our lives. "You're probably wondering what he did," Mike says. "But I'm not privy to that information. Not now